for a young guy to get started, let's say a 25-year-old, to go out and buy a farm, and buy equipment, and buy the inputs to produce a crop, it's virtually impossible to get started. You have to start slow. You have to have some help by an established farmer. You might have to rent the land first. I mean, there's just no way financially you could spend $1 million for land and get someone to finance you for the inputs and the equipment to put it in. Yes, it is different from the past. My childhood was spent milking cows. We had a few hogs. We had a small herd of beef cows. Most of that is gone now. All we have is some feeder cattle that we grow for slaughter.
Alex Gibbs, cattle feeder. Right now we got 206 head. I started in December of '01, I would say, with my FFA project in high school as a freshman. I quit after high school. I graduated in 2006. A little hiatus there, and I started buying cattle again in 2011. A fat steer will eat probably 40 pounds of feed, and that's wet feed. Probably running around 40% moisture or more, so you can't really count the water. You get in the upper 20s for dry matter pounds. That's about what they'll max out. Plant corn in the spring and grow it all summer. We go out there early fall. I chop the whole ear wet, make earlage. It's very digestible when it's wet. I mean, with traditional corn, you want to dry it, and that costs money. It takes energy, of course. And so you chop it wet, and you don't have the drying cost, but you have the chopping cost yet. But like I said, the digestibility would probably be your biggest thing. Efficiency, less pounds of feed per pound of beef. I take all my cattle to Manchester sale barn, and they auction them off. There are 2 buyers, one for JBS in Green Bay and one for Tyson in Joslin, Illinois.
After that, they go by semi-load, by tractor trailer to the slaughterhouse that bought them. The buyer might buy for 3 different slaughterhouses, depending on quality or numbers that they want, and they will be shipped to, say, Green Bay, Wisconsin, or Omaha, Nebraska, or I believe there's another large processing plant out in Michigan. Once it is processed, most of it is moved as what they call boxed beef. They cut the carcass into sections, if you will, and box it, refrigerate it, and it is then distributed around the country, again usually by semi-truck.
I'm Marvin Waterhouse. I'm a second generation auctioneer. My father started in the auction business in 1947, and I joined him in 1974. And my son joined me in 1994, so he's third generation. We own and operate Manchester Livestock Auction, Manchester, Iowa, and we also conduct personal property and real estate auctions. My father built a livestock auction in 1947 in Central City, 20 miles south of here. It no longer exists. The new highway came through and took it out. At that time, livestock auction, while it was a marketing tool, it was more of a social atmosphere. It was probably the original intention of a livestock auction was to serve a smaller, medium-sized producer. But especially now with the fed cattle business, and when we talk about fed cattle, we're talking about cattle that are market ready. And with the fewer packers there are in the country, they'll send a buyer into a livestock auction if they have enough numbers, like we do, to set on the seats and buy, where they can't afford to run that gentleman up and down the road and maybe drive all day long and only see 500 cattle. Really what it points to is that agriculture today is a huge business, big business. And this is just beef cattle now. Beef cattle, 44 billion farm gate receipts. That's according to the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. That's in 1 year. That was as of and the cattle inventory as of January 1st of this year was 89.8 million cattle. Now that's just beef cattle. We're not counting dairy cattle. We have sold here, we're going to finish the year at about $85 million worth of livestock sold through here. And while we like to think we're a big business, we're just a very small part of it. I read one time, and I have always said it was Ben Franklin, I don't know if it was, who said there are never any big problems. There are just always a lot of little ones. If it was a big problem, everybody could identify it and cure it.
Never too young to feel, takes a while to heal. Never too young to feel, trouble